Pike's pushed more and far up ahead. He's got out of line. Is now Pike going to have a go at Werrell? Don't push him off. He's in the championship fight. Jack Werrell chasing down Carl Jacklin. Further down, Rob Williams and Chris Barnes.
Sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's caught back into play. Exactly. Miller's just such up. He's touched on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Moving on to the back end of Phil Jocelyn. So there's been a lot of movers and shakers in this first 2 laps here for race.
Absolutely serious racing league. Everybody's allowed to have fun. Yeah.
It's all about the entertainment, so I hope
tell.
everybody is enjoying themselves out there in the chat. We know that Ron is been enjoying himself watching. And the Burger King machine's off into the grass a little bit there as they're really bunching up now.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the JP Broadcasting channel here for Penguin RC Simcar Grand Am Gt3s once again for your action for round 6 out at Le Mans this season. I'm your commentator Hamish, Munro, joined once again by Jim Cunningham. Jim, the big bad American, makes his way over to the to France, where we have one French driver in the whole field, coming up against a hell of a lot of North Americans. He was one of the fastest drivers in practice, Roman number 2. We're into qualifying. It's a wet Le Mans circuit. I mean, Le Mans normally suits a bit of endurance racing more so than anything, but you sprinkle a bit of water on there, you bring some moisture to the party, and all of a sudden anything that can happen around here could very well happen here tonight.
Well, raining at Le Mans. I mean, if that doesn't say sports car racing, I don't know what does. This is such a historic track. I mean, there's this is probably the most well-known track in the world. If you mention auto racing and you say Le Mans, everybody knows Le Mans. And it's I'm super excited to be here. I was not scheduled to be here tonight and got picked up last minute again. And I couldn't be more excited, man. This is this championship battle with these guys. It's super, super exciting for me. I'm loving this.
You're really becoming our weekly ringer, aren't you?
I am. I don't. I guess that says that I don't have as busy a life as some people. But no, I can't tell you really truly how excited I am to get to do another race in this series, and I hope I get to finish it out for the rest of the season, because of all the stuff that I've broadcast, this is some great racing week in and week out. Those guys are up there fighting and having a good time, and I love it. And it's going to be interesting, man. This is a completely different kind of circuit. Reigns supreme here, horsepower. Like you said earlier, we even got a Mustang back in the field. This is just a different kind of circuit. It's going to be, I got a feeling we're going to see some different guys up front tonight. Like we did last week. In fact, we had some different guys up front.
Yeah, I mean, Ray Kingsbury had one hell of a run last week. After a poor round the week before, he found some pace out of Barber and really brought some life to this series. We also saw as well, I believe it was Carsten Quint up the front end of town as well. So Solpec, they started dominating once again. Blake Reynolds took back the lead of the championship. But I mean, this circuit's really going to throw up a lot of anticipation, but also A lot of possibilities of incidents, Jim. The rain has stopped for the moment. It was raining during practice. It has dried up just slightly right now, but it's a very, very cold track, high precipitation. We could see a shower or two across the next 2 races here tonight, and it's going to throw up a lot of wild cards for these drivers tonight, deciding when they go on the wet tire, when they stay on the dry. Realistically, the old adage is you'll wait until the spotter claims the circuit is declared wet, and that's when you come in for wet tires. But it's hard at a circuit which has a 3-minute lap, because he might call it as soon as you come past the pit lane, and you've got to go 4 minutes until you can put on those wet tires. So it could get wet very, very quickly, and they've got to be on the ball when deciding if they want to come in to change those tires.
Yeah, that's definitely a different strategy at Le Mans than most any other circuit. Going to wets on some tracks is, like a given. You just have to do it right away. This track has a lot of long straights, a lot of long straight runs. So you could stretch that out for maybe another lap or two and just baby your way through the chicane type corners that mostly makes up this track. So there's some different strategies involved here. And to be honest, from my perspective sitting here, I hope we do see a little rain just to make it a little more exciting.
I hope so. I hope we do get a little bit of rain just to spice it up. Maybe in the second race, Jim, it's a little bit longer. We might, we've often seen during the season, halfway through the race, we get that little bit of a lull period, which it normally happens with a 45-minute race. But we've had some epic battling at the start and the end of the races, and again, it's almost like waiting for Christmas Day. It's the long wait before you get to open those presents on Christmas morning. So it's going to be quite a nice run here tonight for these drivers. Next week, I hope they have their turkey and their cranberry sauce as well, because it'll be Thanksgiving next week when we go racing. So this is going to be quite an exciting run.
And if it does happen in the second race, it's sure gonna spice that intermittent part of the immediate part of the race where pit strategy. At that point, it's going to be really fun. So I really do hope we see a little bit of a shower. I don't personally like to drive in the rain as much, but from this perspective, I'm going to enjoy it.
So one interesting thing I've noticed, where 10 minutes into the 15-minute qualifying session, only 7 drivers have managed to set lap times in this qualifying session, Jim. And this is one of the tests with Le Mans, because it is such a long lap. You have less opportunity to set laps, but you also, as well, if you make a mistake or you get an off track, you're gonna have to, wait for later, or you're gonna have to wait for another lap, for another opportunity. And 15 minutes, 4-minute lap times, you're only going to get 3 laps in.
Right. And that's a big issue, because track's probably still a little damp, and doesn't take much to get it off track, and especially with these chicanes, because if you're moving through there and you try to cut them, it's pretty easy to clip it a little too hard and get an off track or something, So yeah, it's quite interesting, some of the drivers that haven't put in a lap yet, and there's a lot of good cars that don't have a lap set yet.
That's right. I do just have to.
But as of right now, Michael Gonzalez is sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now.
He is, and he's actually got quite a good time in it, 3:57.06. I have just noticed as well that I forgot to mute my in-game radio, so I'm just going to quickly just change that just to make sure it is muted, because I did hear Blake Reynolds get over the radio before, and knowing it how much they love a bit of banter, I'd rather not have the in-game radio turned on, because we could get demonetized very quickly, and James will wring my neck if that happens. So we're sorry that the thumbnail had to go up for about 30 seconds there to change that, but I'd rather do it than get copped with the flame of a sick James Parfitt.
Right. Yeah, he probably wouldn't take to that too well. So yeah, well, and it looks like Michael Gonzalez just improved his lap time. He just put down a 3:56.9. So he's improved his a little bit, and he is he's 0.8 of a second faster than the next closest guy. He's almost a full second faster.
Well, this is the final opportunity for Blake Reynolds to set a lap time here in qualifying. Is it going to count for him as he crosses the line? I do apologize. They're not going to get 3 laps in. He does, though. He goes pole, 3:56.28, so a whole 0.6 faster than Michael Gonzalez. Realistically, though, Jim,
holy cow,
there is a lot more spread of pace at this circuit because it is so much longer. The lap time is so much longer. So there's more time to gain across a lap. That could have literally been 1 or 2 minor mistakes from Michael that's cost him those 6.10s. Blake set the time, though, on the dying embers.
Yes.
And I misspoke before. It's not 3 laps they get. They get an out lap and then 2 fast laps. That's it, because they can't make it past 15 minutes to set another lap time because they'll get cut off since there's 2 races. So Blake, in his final attempt, has gone pole with a wicked lap time. Kevin Fanning's got inside the top 10. Jason Lynn, Dylan Hunter, Cody Cosgrove. It was Cody Cosgrove last week. That was up at the top of the field. I remember that now. Paul Mikolajczyk, Matt Kingsbury.
Yes.
None of those guys have set lap times here in qualifying, so they will have to start at the back of the field. And for Cosgrove, Mikolajczyk, and Kingsbury, they're starting behind all of the AMs here this evening. So that's going to be a tough test to get past them. But the beauty of it is, passing at Le Mans, not as hard as passing at Barber, because you have a long straight, you can get a lot of toe in, and you can set yourself up at the Mulsanne corner.
Yeah, I mean, you honestly could not have 2 more different tracks back to back. Everything about them is, that Barber's tight turns and not very long straightaways, and this is chicanes and really long straightaways.
I wonder if we have a full rolling grid lap, or if we're going to have the short one.
Oh,
it's the short one.
Well, if it does,
that was smart. That was smart from them. We're not doing a full lap of Le Mans into the safety car. Starting grid, though, for race number 1 will be as follows. Blake Reynolds will start on pole position alongside his championship rival, Michael Gonzalez. Roman Ratu, Justin Desir will start on the second row with Ray Kingsbury and Kevin Fanning on the third. Michael Flores and Nate Stewart, they'll start P7 and P8 with Matt Kingsbury and Cody Cosgrove in the top 10 for the pros. Why is it showing me the classes we wanted overall? There we go. We fixed it now. Reynolds to Gonzalez, Ratu, Nasir, Kingsbury, Fanning, Flores, and Stewart. It's then Quint and Eversole making up the top 10 in qualifying. They'll start top 2 for the AMs. Jeff Johnston, Mao, and Mofta in behind them. We saw Mofta have a good run last week, Jim, which he made a mistake and put it in the wall. That cost him the AMs round win. Then Joshua Suxi, Matt Kingsbury, Cody Cosgrove, Paul Mikolajczyk, Jason Lynn, and Dylan Hunter at the back end of the field in our Soul, Merc, and Mustang options. But we've got a half lap for rolling grid, Jim. Should probably take us about 1.5 minutes, being how long this track is, and they're just before, I believe, Indy. So we get to watch them rolling on round for a little bit here.
Well, what's funny is I'm looking at the starting lineup, and like I said, completely different tracks from last week. But I'm not insulting anybody, but the cream always seems to rise to the top. You know what I mean? You look up there at the top, top guys on the leaderboard today, and it's the same guys that are leading in the championship, and they're just fast. Doesn't matter where you put them.
I have to wonder, Jim.
And it doesn't matter.
I have to wonder if Blake and Michael are going to run away with this, and then eventually they'll battle it out.
Oh, they could, for sure. I mean, because they were significantly faster than anybody else. If you look at Blake Reynolds' time compared to Roman Ratu, it was almost 2 seconds. It was, a second and a half or a little more. A couple of laps at that pace, and it stretches out pretty quick, Well,
be interesting to see, though. I misspoke earlier, actually. So We assume that Reynolds took the lead of the championship last week. He hasn't.
He didn't, right.
He equaled Blake Reynolds' points, but Reynolds, both of them have got penalty points. Reynolds has Reynolds has leading 3. Gonzalez has leading 2. So Gonzalez is actually leading the championship by 1 point here tonight.
Well, how incredible, though, man. I mean, you got to love that. 1 point. This is exciting league racing, man. I mean, you know, a lot of these championships in these leagues are one guy's running away with it by 100 points and he clinches it 2 races in, you know, or 2 races to go. These guys are going to go right down to the last race and probably the last lap.
Oh, definitely. I mean, we then look at the AM class as well. Carsten Quince on 381 points after a -2 penalty. Marwin Moft is on 376 after a -2 penalty. So even before and after penalties, they're still separated by only 5 points. So that championship could also swing either way here tonight. We're coming up towards, though, the final couple of corners of the Le Mans circuit. The safety car will pull into pit lane, and Reynolds and Gonzalez will control the field at start finish. So that was one of the wildest entries to pit lane I've ever seen from a safety car. But up towards the line we come. Green flag racing at Le Mans. Car's already been spun round in the background. One of the Porsches has gone round off of the final corner. He caught the curb and now he's already lost a mountain of time. But Reynolds will lead them down towards turn number 2. Ratu's already putting the pressure here onto Michael Gonzalez at the front of the field. But Reynolds still leads the way as we rocket round towards the Mulsanne Straight. Doesn't look like anyone's been caught out in anything here, Jim, apart from the fact that Paul Mikolajczyk has not started the race.
Justin Nasir jumped up there ahead of Roman and slid right by him. It looked like Roman was going to be challenging for the lead there for a second, and then all of a sudden, Justin got by him there and put Roman back in 4th place there.
Well, he's now got the tow. Leading down the straight does Roman Ratu from the back of Justin Nasir's car. The long run towards the Mulsanne chicanes. The first chicane, one of the toughest tasks on this circuit. Look at Gonzalez on Reynolds. Nasir doesn't know which lane he wants to go. Does he follow his teammate? Does he follow the championship leader? 3 wide into the Mulsanne chicane. Nasir backs out of it. And so does Gonzalez. Reynolds goes a little bit deeper on the brakes, Jim. Keeps the lead, but he's under pressure early before the second Mulsanne chicane further down the back straight.
You know, I wonder how much water is off of the racing line like that. He drove it in there pretty deep and got off of the racing line pretty hard there. You know, there still could be some water on these curbs and stuff because it wasn't that long ago it was raining.
Here comes Gonzalez, outside line. Can't quite get there on Reynolds. Ratu's in there as well as Nasir. Battle is on at the front of the field. You have a feeling, Jim, that this might go on for a little bit longer than we'd normally be used to.
I tell you what, it doesn't matter if it's Le Mans. Oh, look at this. Got it turned around. Doesn't look like he tore it up, though.
Poor old Ray Kingsbury. What a tough run he's had.
And I didn't mean to dismiss your Paul Mikolajczyk comment earlier about not starting the race. Oh.
So he actually got turned.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah, and whoever turned him looks like lost a nose off that car, so he's going to have some damage.
I think it might have been.
Well, we think it was Jeff Johnson? Or?
It was his brother, Matt Kingsbury.
Oh.
He's actually been turned by his own flesh and blood. Wow.
Yeah, you know, sibling. They probably fought before. It's not the first time, I'm sure. Yeah. Oh. Gonzalez just ran off the track.
He did. How has he done that?
He missed his braking. Looks like he missed his braking point.
Unless he had a slowdown for whatever reason.
No, he got straight, though. Look. Right here. He just shoots. Oh, no.
So they're going back and forth. This was during the period of us looking back at Ray Kingsbury's moment. So they're side by side, up, down the Porsche straight.
Yeah, he's going to shoot straight. Looks like he missed his braking point. I just saw it out of the corner of my eye.
So Robert Gonzalez. So down here through Indy. They come through the right-hander.
Yeah, I think it's right here.
Yep, he missed his brake marker by probably about only 10 or 20 meters or so. Yeah, only a couple of yards. So he somehow at least pulled it up, but that's a big net loss for Michael Gonzalez as Reynolds leads them through.
He's all the way. He's down in 7th place.
He is. I mean, this is. Look at that. Although he's right there, but he has to now make his way through 6 cars. Reynolds is 2.5 seconds above Justin Nasir. He's out of the tow range.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the fact that as Gonzalez missed his mark and was trying to kind of hold it and come back on the track, it probably they all slowed up thinking something was maybe going to happen, you know, and they lost that little edge on him where Blake was just, you know, had his foot in it, you know.
Well, Nasir has now got the major pack behind him. He's already dropped 0.6 of a second on Blake Reynolds only through the first 2 sectors, Jim. So Nasir is not able to match Reynolds' pace. It does not look likely anyone's going to be able to chase down Reynolds now. I mean, Gonzalez couldn't even lap faster than him in qualifying. I think this is now Reynolds to lose. He can run away with this thing very, very easily.
Especially since he doesn't have anybody right on his bumper challenging him at every chicane, you know, so it's probably going to be at this point he's going to walk away with the rest of the sprint race for sure.
Nate Stewart on debut as well,
barring
Jim.
something happening.
Well, that's it. Yeah, barring him missing his braking marker at Indy, I don't see anyone catching him at this point. Nate Stewart on debut here tonight has now made his way up 5 positions in this race, Jim. He's up into the podium positions, flashing the lights while he knows he's on screen. He's up into P3, and he's got Ratu hot on his tail at what would be considered Ratu's home circuit of the season, I think. Le Mans, you know. I don't think we go to make the call this season, so this will be his home race.
Yeah, definitely, and he's got his kind of French flag car that painted colors, you know, and he's, you know, I really want to see him because he's fast. He's just never had that moment since I've been covering the series where he was just up there putting a hard challenge on. I would like to see that. Because he's fast.
He is indeed,
and he might be in the right car tonight.
He very well could
Those
be.
Porsches are.
I have just seen as well, Jim. We won't be going racing next week because of I think because of Thanksgiving we won't be going racing because it would happen on the weekend of Thanksgiving. But the week after, December 5th, we'll be racing at my home. What would be my home race if I raced in this series at Sandown, which is only an hour away from me. And that is going to be very interesting. But I actually think it's going to be the best track on the whole calendar based on how many cars we have in the series and how close the racing can actually be at that track, because the lap times will only be around about a minute long. So there's not going to be much movement for Reynolds to run away with things. He'll always have some sort of traffic around him, whether it's lapped or lead lap traffic as well. But again, 2 polar opposite circuits, 2 races in a row, Jim. We go from Barber to Le Mans, 2 completely different tracks. From Le Mans to Sandown, again, 2 completely different tracks. You go from a track with a 4-minute lap time to a track with a 60-second lap time, and that is crucial that you hit curves around. I mean, they're really thrown at the deep end for a lot of these races this season.
Well, I like that. I think that's kind of cool. You know, I mean, you don't want to do all the cookie cutter, so to speak, you know. That was always my issue with NASCAR, and I love NASCAR, you know, but that's always my issue with NASCAR is there was just too many 1.5-mile tracks for too many years. They were all the same. They've diversified a little bit now. They do 6 road races now as opposed to like 1 or 2 back in the day.
Well, the one
I love that. I love the fact they mix it up like that.
No, that's right. That's right. And the one or 2 that they'd always do was probably Watkins Glen, or I don't know, maybe they wouldn't go to Laguna Seca. Where would, or maybe the Daytona road course or the Charlotte road course?
Well, they do. No, they do the Chicago Street Circuit. That's one that they built specifically for that NASCAR race. Watkins Glen. They do Sonoma, which is up in the wine country of California. It's very hilly up there, and it's kind of dry terrain, wine type country. They used to race Riverside back in the day, which was in Southern California, which is a classic track. I wish there was some way that we could have that on iRacing, even though it's been gone for so many years. It's, it was such a classic road course. They definitely do Watkins Glen, and I'm trying to think what else they do. I don't watch a lot of NASCAR anymore, but I can't remember off the top of my head. But the Chicago Street Circuit is an interesting one, and of course you probably know that one well since Shane Van Ginsberg won.
He enhanced the whole field just by doing heel toe method around a street course.
Yeah. Yeah, and he beat the field in his very first start ever in NASCAR. That was amazing, man. He got the guy a lot of money too. He got a full-time contract out of it.
In Xfinity, he's done very, very well for himself in the road courses. I'm not sure how well he's done in the ovals, but the road courses, he's very much actually, he's better than Marcus Ambrose was at the road courses, actually. As Fanning has gone straight ahead at the second Mulsanne chicane. Big slowdown coming his way, Jim, and he's already now dropped a heap of spots too. He's going to be under pressure from Kingsbury and Ebersol.
Yeah, Michael Gonzalez is creeping his way back up. He's back into 5th place back there.
I did notice that Justin Nassir was chasing down Blake Reynolds, but Nate Stewart decided, I'm actually going to battle you for this position, and now that gap stretched out again till 3.4 seconds. Maybe the smarter decision from Nate, although it is only a 15-minute race, so they're not going to get many laps in. Maybe the smarter decision was just consolidate P3, sit behind Justin, and actually work together to get up to Blake, because now they've given up quite a lot of time to him, and there's probably not enough laps left in this race for them to chase him down and pass him.
No, probably not, especially not with his pace. And, looking at Michael Gonzalez back there, is he really pushing 100% to get back up to the front?
No.
I mean, if you're in 5th place, knowing this field's fixing to get inverted after probably maybe one more lap, do you wear yourself out, or do you sit there around 5th place and take the invert and you're starting up closer to the front than Reynolds?
Cosgrove, fair play to him. Last week started on the front row in the second race. He won the second race. Off doing that, he could do it again this week.
Yes, I mean, it doesn't matter what track you're at. There's no substitute for getting out there in that clean air.
Oh no, definitely not. I mean, the only difference would be with Le Mans is how strong the toe is. But again, if someone makes a mistake, like what happened with Gonzalez, all of a sudden your night becomes a whole lot easier, as Reynolds is just able to now run away with 1 lap to go and have a fairly easy but crucial win under his belt with only 2 rounds to go in the season. This will now give him the lead of the championship, Jim, leading into race 2, and put some pressure now on Michael Gonzalez to actually perform and beat Reynolds on track.
It's a shame we had to mute the chat, because I bet that's gonna get spicy in there.
Maybe they'll pay James extra to have the chat open. Oh, who knows?
Oh, I did a race the other night, and the chat was on in the background, and it wasn't. I don't know if it was really loud enough to come through on the broadcast, but I could hear it in my headset, and I was picking up all kinds of little tips from the drivers in there. It really sounded like I knew what I was doing.
we had it during the race of mental health on the broadcast, but there was so many jokes happening over that radio. I mean, it was actually a great time to hear it. But of course, that race is a little bit different to this series. Although this series is about having fun, but we also want to try and bring some seriousness to it, because these championships are closely contested between the AMs and the pros as well. And at the moment, Carsten Quint is getting a magnificent amount of points over Marwan Mofta, as he looks to finish P7 in this race, with Mofta all the way back in P12. So his championship lead will be extending as well. We've got quite a few chats out there. Giuseppe I'm not even going to attempt to read that last name. I do apologise, Giuseppe. But Beep Beep, welcome into the chat. Olivia Guadalupe back with us. Hello, bonsoir de Guadalupe. Welcome on French track. And Frederick Bourdon, go Rome. So we've got a lot of love out there for Rome number 2 at his home race here tonight. Jim out at Le Mans with 1 lap to go. He looks to get himself a top 5 finish in this race, which will be a good chunk of points for the Mecca Esports driver.
Yeah, he does have a lot of support in there tonight. That's nice. It's good they turned out for him in his home country. It's pretty late in France right now also. I didn't even think about that.
Let's have a look at the clock and see what time it is in France at the moment, because it would be...
It's going to be like
it'd be
2:30 in the morning, huh?
It'd be a similar time to what it would be for James, actually. Because
yeah, so
not too far away
that's
from each other.
about 2:30 in the morning, I think.
Let's have a look. Yep, 3:30 in the morning in Lyon. So
yeah,
it's very late for Roman. But he's done what a lot of American drivers do to race an Australian series. Actually, he's gotten up at Sparrow's Fart to come and race some fantastic GT racing here in Simcar, which is good to see.
I'm not sure if it's more impressive that he gets up, at this time to race every week, or if the fact that he has multiple supporters in the chat at this time of the morning. That, not sure which one's more impressive.
What else would they be doing in France right now, other than, this is going to sound very, very stereotypical, other than sipping on wine and just eating baguettes and croissants?
Well, that's probably what they're doing right now, watching this.
Most likely. As Blake Reynolds is coming up through the Ford curbs towards the final couple of corners of this Le Mans circuit here tonight. He got the pole position in qualifying with an epic time of a 3:56.2. He's going to come round the final chicane and take himself another crucial championship victory in race number 1 tonight. He takes the championship lead from Michael Gonzalez. Nate Stewart on debut and on to the podium in race number 1. Justin Nasir finishes out of P3. Gonzalez gets back up to P4, Jim. So the net loss is not so bad to Blake Reynolds. Roman number 2, the homegrown talent, comes home in P5. Anthony Flores, P6. Karsten Quint takes the win for the AMs, and Cody Cosgrove gets that crucial P8, and he will start pole position of race number 2.
Yeah, I'm looking here. Oh, I love the way they cut up. I just looked over at the leaderboard. I see Paul Mikologic down there at the bottom didn't start this one. Man, I tell you what. Oh, he's going to back down here?
No, he's back
no,
down.
no, I thought he was. Yeah, I just don't know what it's going to do for Paul to catch a break. It's like everything is going, he's just had a run of bad luck.
Get an easier to read name. One thing, actually, I will point out, Paul actually got picked on in the race for mental health by race control. He got given a penalty from the race controller. The race controller actually donated money to give Paul a penalty because he had a Polish name but could not speak Polish. So I had a good chuckle over that, and that's one of the things that Mr. McElroy had to pay for.
I'll tell you what, people that are, watching this that didn't get a chance to watch that coverage and that race, that race was so much fun. I watched a lot of the coverage, just sitting around at my desk and stuff. I had it on in the background, and you guys cutting up and doing all the silly stuff y'all were doing, and you had Jimmy Broadbent in there, of course. You had Max Verstappen running. It was just a fun event, and the coverage was hats off to you, then James, the whole crew. Y'all were having a blast. I mean, it made the race fun.
Knowing how loose, we'll say, Simcar is, I'd love for Simcar to do an event like that. I reckon that'd be really, really fun. Whether it's
It would, yeah.
whether it's like I recommended the Freedom 500, where they have like American race series cars in a multi-class race for 500 laps or something. That'd be pretty cool. I did test Jim the other day in an AI session. I tested having Indy cars, NASCAR Next Gen, NASCAR trucks, the NASCAR Legend, like the NASCAR Legends cars, the old 80s NASCARs. And then
Yeah.
I had the SRX in there as well, but we wouldn't put that in there. But like those 4 classes all together, hell, throw the MX-5s in there. And I put them at Watkins. The IndyCar lapped the whole field within about 3 or 4 laps. And this was at the Cup circuit, not at the boot, at the Cup circuit. So it only took them about 4 laps.
It would technically the IndyCar, it's an American series, but the car is a Dallara.
It is.
And the Dallara is not an American chassis, right?
No, but we'd be going,
I think
the
that
thought
if you're gonna
process
do
would be
that,
American series, but
I think that, putting a GT3 Mustang in there and a Corvette or, one of those or would probably be a better pick. It'd be a fairer race, but the those Indy cars are insane.
It'd be multi-class. It would be.
Yeah, no, just the fact that would be insane, I mean, if you wanted to do that, you could technically call IMSA an American series as well.
Well, technically it is, even though majority of the cars are not American.
Right.
It is technically an American series.
But there is Cadillac is American.
That is true.
I mean, it's
but
the same.
But they're
chassis,
they're based on the Dallara chassis of the IndyCar. But like no, the thought process behind it is like, what is quintessentially American in the racing series they run? The first thing people think of when they think of American racing is NASCAR and IndyCar.
Yes.
So
100%.
They would be the quintessential series. Personally, I love IMSA. I love both the IMSA series and then also as well the Pilot Challenge, the Michelin Pilot Challenge. I love racing in the Raw every year. I look forward to racing it again next year. I nearly won last year in the LMP3 before GT4s decided they were going to get in my way and take me out in the midfield of on the infield of Daytona. So but apart from that, I look forward to attempting it again. Yeah, they do love to just decide they're going to make the track 4 wide when there's a faster class car coming up behind them.
Yeah, that's I haven't done the 24 hours of Daytona yet. I was thinking about doing it this coming January or February January. I don't know. We'll see.
It is a fun race. It is a very, very fun race.
I like my sleep though.
Yeah. Well, this is why you get 4. This is why you get 4 drivers specifically with different time zones that they can race in.
Well, that's actually that is the beauty of iRacing and iRacing leagues is, we have people from all over the world in there, and we could put together a team that it doesn't even really affect their sleep, so that would be fun. But I did a endurance race here at Le Mans this year. It was a 6-hour race with 4x time speed, so it was basically 24 hours in 6 hours. So you got the entire weather and and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've never done an endurance race at Le Mans myself. I've done the Daytona 24-hour, have completed the Daytona 24-hour, finished inside the top 10 in GT class. I've attempted the Spa 24-hour, but got to about 4:30 in the morning and then crashed the car and was like, no, that's it, I'm going to bed. And then, obviously done and completed the Watkins Glen 6-hour, finished top 5 after starting plumb last. I can't remember if I've actually attempted the Sebring 12-hour before or not. I don't think I have.
Well, I think we talked about that here.
I've done the Bathurst 12-hour as well, so...
The Sebring 12-hour was my first real and live endurance race.
Yeah.
I was, back in my my early 20s, I went to with a guy who was driving a Mazda RX-7 in the what that time was the GTU class, and went with them, and that was a blast. Back when Martin Brundle was driving for Jaguar, that tells you how long ago that was.
So starting grid 4, race number 2 will be as follows. Reverse top 8 cars from race number 1. So Cody Cosgrove will start pole position ahead of Carsten Quint. Anthony Flores, row number 2 on the second row, Michael Gonzalez and Justin Nasir on the third. Nate Stewart, Blake Reynolds for the top 8. The rest of the cars will start how they finished race number 1 with Kevin Fanning, John Ebersol making up the top 10. Matt Kingsbury, Marwan Mofta for the top 12 cars on the road. Then we move back to Jason Lynn, Jeff Johnson, Joshua Suxi, Dylan Hunter, Ray Kingsbury, Paul Mikolajczyk. Not starting the last race, but they are starting race number 2 this evening, Jim. Ray did start the last race, but unfortunately got caught up in some trouble very early on.
Yes, relatively caught up in trouble. Oh, I mean, that was his relative.
I wonder if he checked his relative after that as well.
Yeah, probably, right? Relatively speaking.
It's all relative.
I'm curious to see here if Cody can pull a repeat of last week and stay out in front of these guys. I mean, if we're being honest, Barber is a lot harder to track to stay out in front of, just from the simple fact it's easier to make mistakes there. And we don't seem to have any weather on the horizon that I've seen. If we don't get rain, I think this will be a different race than if the rain happens to pop up.
Well, it is currently cloudy. We have got 45 minutes to go racing, Jim, so it's it could very well happen over this next 45 minutes. The skies are looking grey. There is a sudden electricity in the air for the start of race number 2. Cosgrove and his teammate Quint will line up alongside each other. You like that one, don't you, Jim? That was a good one, eh?
I did.
Yeah.
That was a good one.
Cody Cosgrove, Carsten Quint, the Soul Peck Precision Racing team. On the front row, Anthony Flores, row number 2, in behind. Green flag running at Le Mans. We are underway for race number 2, but Cosgrove's holding them all the way to the line. We are go. And Flores has gotten past Quint off the start, but the question will now have to be, Jim, is if he actually passed him before the control line, because if he did, that's not going to look so good on behalf of him. Carsten Quint has absolutely gone round there. There's massive, massive moments happening down at the second corner. We can see it through the fog a little bit. One of the cars actually straight line turn 2. We'll have a look at it further around the lap on a replay. But Cosgrove, he still leads.
These guys are just stretching their legs right now.
And Gonzalez is already up into the top 3.
Up in that.
Yeah, there was quite a few cars.
Yeah.
It appeared that we're all caught up in that one, Jim. So we'll try and get some footage of what
we lost
happened.
our Mercedes and our Ford. Both of them got tied up in that.
Yeah. So this is what happened with Carsten Quint. He was P3. Did he get turned? Oh, I think there might have been a net code there. Possibly from row number 2's car. I don't think it was his fault necessarily. And then Justin Nasir just absolutely straight lines the corner after avoiding action. Big slowdown for him.
Yeah, I don't know if that was a net code or if he lost it.
I'm not sure. And then Dylan Hunter, Jason Lynn.
Didn't really.
Oh, hello.
Man.
Mustang
there,
doing Mustang
got
things.
tore up.
Yeah. So a wild start to this race. Multiple cars involved. Flores is going slow out of the second Mulsanne chicane, so I have to wonder if he copped a slowdown there, Jim, because he's now dropped all the way down to P5. Gonzalez up into second, Ratu third, and Reynolds is hot on their tail as well.
Wow, yeah, they're bunched up right here.
we come down
That's a
towards
freight train.
Yeah, look at that train. I wonder if they got their train ticket or if they're going to get thrown off the train.
That was bad.
I know.
That was bad.
I could have done it even worse and kept it to an Australian reference, but then I realised not everyone has a Mikey card across the world, so not everyone's going to get the reference.
Yeah, I would not have gotten that one.
Yep. It's basically it's a card to put money on. That's how you pay for the train.
Ah, okay.
Yep. It's like a bus pass. You use it for all public transport in the state of Victoria in Australia.
So this is interesting here. Gonzalez is all over his back end here now, and Reynolds is stepping up quick. It doesn't seem like it's going to be long before he gets to the front either.
Well, we missed
He
out.
does have to get by Roman.
He does, but we missed out on our battle for the whole race last race, Jim, when Gonzalez made a mistake into Indy, because it allowed Gonzalez made the mistake. It allowed Reynolds to run away with things pretty much. But if Gonzalez can keep it clean here in race 2, well, these guys could be battling all throughout this race here this evening. And well, Gonzalez, with only 2 rounds to go, Jim, 4 races left in the season after this one. He has to perform in the next couple of races if he hopes to try and win this title over the defending champion Blake Reynolds.
Well, at this point, he's certainly. I mean, he finished a little bit back last week. It wasn't horrible, and he was still leading the championship.
This is Joshua Souksy. We saw him have a moment on the race start of race 1, and in fact, he's caught the ripple strip at the Ford curves, and that's put him into the wall in the tyre barrier there in that Porsche. So he is not having a fun time tonight, is Joshua Souksy. Cody Cosgrove still leading the way, though. He has got Michael Gonzalez hot on his tail.
Stretched it out a little bit.
He is a little bit. But I have a feeling these guys will likely close that gap by the end of the Mulsanne Straight.
I can promise you that Porsche in 3rd place right now is Cody Cosgrove's best friend. He wants Roman Ratu to get up there, and here comes Blake. He wants somebody to start messing with Gonzalez to hold him back a little bit, give him a chance to stretch it out a little bit more, because clearly Gonzalez and Reynolds are coming.
They are starting to chase.
Of course, we said that last week, and Cody held it on last week. I mean, I got to give him credit, man. That was a brilliant run by him last week.
It was a fantastic drive. As we're getting into darker and darker conditions here at Le Mans, you can see which drivers are running the IMSA headlight packs and who are not running the IMSA headlight packs. I do prefer the IMSA one with the yellow headlights, Jim, if I'm honest. The smart play would have been the AMs run the regular headlights and the pros run the IMSA ones, so we could actually tell on track who is who.
That would have been
which class.
That would have been really cool, actually. That's a great idea.
Very easy to implement.
That is a great idea.
Just whatever base paint you have on your car, I'm pretty sure. Or I think you can actually select which headlight pack you want on the car. It's one of the two. I can't remember now. I've said it a lot recently, as Gonzalez is looking to take the lead from Cosgrove. Reynolds is right there. It's going to try and support his teammate as best he can. But he's also decided, no, Gonzo is going to have the pace over him. I'm going to sit behind him and let him pull me forward. So we rocket round the Rolex straight.
I mean, and we know here that of the 4 cars in the picture, so far so far Reynolds has had by far the best pace. Yeah. And we didn't mention this, but he set the fastest lap of the race in the first race on the last lap of that race.
Well, he already has the first 3 sectors. He is the fastest driver in at the moment as well. So he's looking to get the fastest lap of this race on this lap.
Yeah, he was in the lead the whole time, and he ended up still putting the fastest lap up on the last lap of the race. So certainly he wasn't laying back, he was pushing hard.
The windscreen of Cody Cosgrove's car was filled with Corvette taillights then. And then Reynolds' car is filled with McLaren taillights at the moment as they come around the Porsche curves.
Here they go.
Towards the Ford curves as well. Gonzalez has run wide and off the track.
No!
And he's had to tow back to pit lane. Will that cost him the championship, Jim? That's a massive moment.
Oh, oh my gosh. Can we see that from another angle?
So around the Porsche curves. Give us a better angle on that, please. Thank you. Ooh.
Oh, he just shot off there. Well, why did he tow?
I don't know. Unless he was trying to go for the
He
radio button, maybe. He's
He
out.
didn't.
He's out. He's dropped out. So unless he has an issue maybe with his wheel or something.
Oh my goodness.
He's not he's not in Discord anymore.
I would hate to see this championship decided by a hardware issue.
Or even an internet issue or something like that. Like
Yeah, right. Hardware or
unless it's an emergency and he's had to leave in the quickest of successions to go deal with something. It's not what you want to see.
Oh my gosh. That's devastating for his championship hopes.
Now, in saying that, I haven't refreshed my mind yet on the rule set, but if there's a drop round, that will at least give him some semblance of staying in the championship, Jim, because this would be his drop round. If there isn't, then we'd have to argue that this would probably lose him the championship now at this point, because that is going to be an insurmountable amount of points to gain on Blake Reynolds.
Yeah, short of a just a horrific early exit from Reynolds on one of the next two races. Yeah, that would be just devastating. Wow, it was so strange too. That's what makes it even weirder. It wasn't. But it does beg to say what happened, because he just towed. He didn't even hit the wall. He towed. Oh. Yeah, he was turning the wheel at the end. I don't know. He just went straight, but he did turn the wheel.
I don't see a world in which he blows the engine there, Jim.
Oh, no. Hey, I'm the king of downshifting too much, and I've never blown up a GT3 engine. I blow up Formula V engines all the time. I'm famous for that. And I've never blown up a GT3 engine, so I don't think that was the case at all.
Well, hopefully by the end of this race we get a chance to talk to Blake Reynolds. He'll likely know what's happened with Michael. He should be able to give us some insight.
I'm sure. Well,
Solpic are now starting to work together to build their gap over Roman Ratu here. Jim, but this would be a good finish for Roman. Now, yes, there's a long way to go. Still 30-odd minutes of this race. But Roman Ratu, P3 on the road, the only Frenchman in the field. This would be, this would almost feel like a win for him at his home circuit of the series.
It would. It definitely would. And I would think that he would do everything in his power to get past Cody Cosgrove here. And speaking of that, he's making a run on him. I'm sure if he can't catch Blake, he wants to finish second, which he's now in second.
Yes, indeed. He gets the move done on Cody Cosgrove. Ray Kingsbury's now hot on his heels.
You got a string of Porsches up there following that vet.
I think Cody has a slowdown. Yep, I think Cody's actually copped a slowdown, Jim. He has. This will be where
Oh,
So
man.
it's through the Porsche curbs. Yep. If that. Oh, okay.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
well,
yeah. So
probably
he'd
got to
he'd
slow
have,
down
yeah,
there,
he'd have a
too.
slowdown there. Does he run wide? He does. That'll be a slowdown, possibly. About through the Ford curves. Yeah,
I tell you what, though, that was a pretty sweet save, though.
it was.
He could have easily parked that thing in the fence and went home for the night because that was a nice save.
Reynolds is getting very
Yeah.
aggressive this late in the season, isn't he?
Well, I mean, you know, guys like that are that as fast as he is, you know, they're more comfortable driving hard like that. It's when they lay back when they make mistakes. When you know the guys like him that are that fast, they love to push. That's in their nature. Sometimes to a fault, they make mistakes. Like that almost was right there. Wow.
So Marlon Mofta drops towards the back of the field. Carsten Quint has also dropped to the back of the field as well. So two championship contenders for the AMS all the way back outside of the top 10. John Ebersol now leads the AMS race here tonight. This will be a good performance from him if he can put it all together. As Ratu and Kingsbury under pressure at the moment inside of the top 5. Ray Kingsbury's up 14 spots in this race, Jim. So you'd have to question what could have been in race 1 if he hadn't have found his own brother out on track.
Yes, definitely. I mean, and this also shows these Porsches are fast here. Look at this. I mean, golly, they are having a battle right there. But hats off to Cody, man. The guy picked up a slowdown, and he had the car 90 degrees sideways going around a turn, and he managed to save it, and he's still running in 4th, and he's being competitive. Shockingly, his tires aren't just angry at him right now because you slide that like he did, and it takes a little while to get them tires back under you.
I wonder if he has a future in Formula D.
He's got some drift action for sure. Wow.
Ratu and
That was
Cosgrove, though, side by side through Indy. Ratu takes back P3.
Kingsbury slid right up.
He has.
Yeah, Kingsbury's back in second place.
So
Or in second place.
He's on the rise, and this is looking to be another solid performance for Solpec Precision Racing. And this late in the season, Jim,
Yes.
it's probably the best
Yes.
time it could come for them as well.
Yeah, I mean, they got 3 cars in the top 4 right now. And if Carson Quinn hadn't had that little issue, he was pretty fast tonight, too.
We run round the Porsche curves and in towards the Ford curves as well. Blake Reynolds leads the way. 15 minutes into this race here tonight. Kingsbury P2, Ratu P3, Cosgrove and Fanning make up the top 5. Matt Kingsbury in P6. John Ebersol leads for the AMS at this stage. He's in P7. Justin Nasir, Paul Mikolajczyk inside the top 10 as well for Penguin RC. Jeff Johnson P2 for the AMS inside the top 10 for Silverback Racing. And then Jason Lynn, our only Merc out there for Incident Limit Racing, is in P3 of the AMS, P11 on the road. Overall, Stuart Mofta, Flores, Hunter, Quinton, Souksy make up the rest of our runners. Michael Gonzalez is the only driver out of this race, with a bit of a question mark over what may have happened to him. And as we mentioned, if Reynolds does finish up this race, get the win tonight, we will definitely be asking him if he has any information on that, because he'd probably be the most likely person in the field to have that sort of info on why Gonzo had to pull out of the race.
Yeah, I can't. I'm baffled. I would love to know. I hope it wasn't anything personal that was serious, of course. But he, man, they were shaping up to be. It was going to be a great battle again. I hate that. I hate that for him and his championship hopes too. Like I said, I'm not familiar enough with the rules to know if they do have a drop or not. But if they do, which we'll go look and see. Maybe that'll save him.
Just going to quickly open up the rule book for myself and see if they ever drop round.
Yeah, I was actually doing the same. Looks like these Porsches have kind of spread out a little bit. They're not running bumper to bumper here.
I saw Anthony Flores had a crash. I think he's had a minor spin down at turn 3. So he's kept it going. Which is good to see.
Yes. And I happened to just catch out of the corner of my eye, Marwin Mofta's situation again. Man, last couple of weeks he's been really fast, but unforced error on his, seems to jump up and bite him. I can't wait to see him, string a whole one together, because he was super fast last week.
So I don't see anything about them having a drop round, Jim, in this rule book. So that very likely will be championship over now for Michael Gonzalez, unfortunately, because just not it's not out of the realm. It's not out of mathematical contention, obviously. He's still within the hunt. But knowing how close it's been between him and Reynolds would have to have a race like this in 2 rounds, like in the last 2 rounds of the season.
And the one thing is, Blake is an experienced champion.
Yeah.
He's won championships before. Those guys, he's got the experience to know how to protect the lead too. So it's going to be very tough at this point if there's no drop in there.
That's right. That's right. Now, we were talking about earlier, Jim, before the show started, about old racing games, of course. My earliest memories of racing games. I thought perfect time to come back to it halfway through race 2. I think.
Yes.
But the earliest memory I have is probably the old. You may not have ever played it, but the old Toka Race Driver, or Toka Race Driver 2 as well. In Australia, it was V8 Supercars Race Driver, because that was obviously our biggest race series here in Australia. But I remember back to the old EA F1 and NASCAR games as well, the early 2000s. But what are some of your earliest memories of racing at Le Mans on old racing games, like maybe Gran Turismo or something like that?
No, Gran Turismo would have been a later game for me. I've got quite a few years on you, man. I go back, I go way back.
Did they ever have Le Mans on the Atari?
No. Well, I think the Atari's game was called Pole Position.
Ah, yes.
And it was very arcade, and it's funny now, but man, at the time, I remember as a kid being so excited because that was just like, this is the greatest thing ever,
And look what we have now.
It's amazing. I was trying to remember back to what some of the games were, and I can't really. I just remember like circuits. Like I've always loved Laguna Seca because of that corkscrew, and I remember that that was a popular track. Suzuka was a popular track.
They were always in like nearly every racing game, weren't they? Like
like Monza.
No matter what title it was, obviously, unless it was a series title and they didn't race there.
Yes.
If it's a general game, so I think Laguna Seca, I think, is in every Gran Turismo game. I'm pretty sure it's in every Forza game as well. So it's always there, and you always get a chance to race at it.
Yeah. It's funny thinking back to how many years I've been playing racing games, and for it to come to this, like you'd have never made me believe that we would have something like this as a kid. I remember like it was a big deal when you could start playing football on like one of the games where, like, if I remember right, the first online football game, American football, by the way, not Australian rules football or soccer, those around the world, was it was like on the Sega Genesis. It was like 2K or whatever. So like around 2000. That was like one of the first games where you could actually challenge other people and play head to head. And then around that same time, you got to where we were racing other people too.
I remember back to like NHL '94 days, like the very archaic style of game. And then you look at games now. I mean, well, it's interesting to think this iRacing, the sim, is 16 years old this year. Next year, it turns 17. It is a year away from
Yes.
legally being able to vote in the US.
Yes, but not drink a beer.
No, which is quite interesting, isn't it? Like how that works out.
It is. You can fight for your country, and you can vote and pick the leaders of this country.
And you can buy.
But you can't have a cold beer.
You can buy certain things, but you can't have. You can't have a beer. It's wild.
Yes, that's correct. Yes, in the places where marijuana is legal, you can buy it. I think at 18. I don't know,
Yep.
to be honest,
I'm
but
pretty sure you can.
I
yeah.
think you can. But yeah, you can't have a cold beer. And then there are
Crazy,
countries
isn't it?
where you can have a cold beer at 14 years old. So,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, Germany, you can buy alcohol at 16. On the European side of things. Australia, we have to wait till we're 18, but there's a lot of we do not recommend you do this. There is a lot of there's a lot of-
man!
Oh,
He's
Ray
lost it.
Kingsbury talking about beers. Looks like he's got one in the car with him because he's just absolutely spun around at the Porsche curbs.
Oh, I thought he was going to collect whoever that is coming up there
John
behind him.
Ebersol, the leader of the AMS.
Man, it was. If you look at that, he got up on the side and Ratu kind of slipped, I think, and it scared him. You know, he reacted to it and lost it. Like right here, you see.
No, there's a slight
see,
net code. Slight net code there, Jim, I think.
You think it was a net code?
Yeah,
You think
yeah.
you think it was a net code, or you think it was just him reacting to it?
I think that was slight net code, to be honest with you. And in fact, he's actually had another moment. I think this car might be a bit broken here, Jim, because... Oh, no, he's brought it into pits. But he can't pull it up.
Yeah.
So he's brought it into pits, and then I think he's actually towed back. He has. So unfortunately for Ray Kingsbury, another tough night at the office for him here.
Golly.
I know. You really have to feel for him, don't you?
Man, he was having such a nice run there. He was fast. You know, they were having a nice battle. If that was netcode, I hate that. You know, I just...
It's really become
you
an
can't do
issue
anything about
ever since-
netcode.
It's been happening ever since season 3 of this year. Like, it's really becoming worse and worse.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess, you know, maybe the tougher these damage models get and the contact, you know, gets, because like the other option is to go to something like, I don't remember some of those other games that are out there where you can halfway drive through a car and it doesn't even count as a wreck, you know.
Project Cars.
Boy, I
I'm
hate,
looking
if
at
that
you.
was netcode, man, what a bummer.
I know. But look at it. I mean, look at how far we've come, Jim. And netcode aside, look at how far
amazing.
we've come in racing games and simulations. I mean, you know, Forza looks
I
nice.
never in my wildest dreams did I think we could have something like iRacing.
Oh, it's phenomenal. You know, I've been playing through what is technically the new Forza Motorsport game. It's all right as a game. I mean, it's nothing spectacular in terms of being realistic. Their crash model is still horrible in that game. Like, it just looks like crumpled up foil. It's you know, they don't even lose wheels or anything. You know, and they really hyped up. Oh, our new crash model is so good. The cars look really realistic whenever they crash. And my thought was, well, why don't they lose parts of their car like iRacing does?
Right. Well, again, and the funny thing about iRacing is there's fans of all kinds of games out there, but the one thing, they all get compared to iRacing.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It doesn't matter, you know, oh, well, we've got just as good a tire model as iRacing, or our damage model is just as good as iRacing, but they're all compared to iRacing. Yeah, there's, you know, some good games out there. I don't know if you play like a set of Corsa Competizione or Le Mans Ultimate. You know, those are some really good games.
Oh yes, R Factor 2.5.
But they all have. Yeah, I knew you were going to say that. I mean, it is. You know. Oh, look at it.
So this battle's starting to heat up. Ratu, Kingsbury,
There it is.
Fanning, all involved. They got Nasir at the back of it as well. This is the battle for P3 on the road. Cosgrove and Reynolds have started to break away with just under 20 minutes to go in this race. It's looking like Reynolds to win, but Ratu and Kingsbury are still going to battle for the final podium position on the road here tonight.
Yeah, they're back and forth here. Looks like Kingsbury just might get by him here. No, probably not. That's right where his brother crashed.
Do you think, I was going to say, do you think Roman's going to try and complete the set and just netcode Matt into the wall as well?
I know, right in the same spot, too. Yeah. That's what I was thinking, too, man. I hope Kingsbury's both don't get bit there. They seem to do it in pairs. You know, they took each other out earlier, and well, yeah, it's but yeah, back to like some of these games, you know. And one of the things that I've heard is coming is apparently iRacing has a big graphics update coming. I don't know if it's. I don't think it's going to be in this season update. I don't believe, but they've got something that's supposed to step the graphics up even more, from what I've heard. And rumor has it that they're also going to start releasing some additional telemetry for all these people now that have active pedals and haptics on their pedals and stuff. They're going to start releasing traction control and traction control and tire lockup, which is not telemetry that they have available right now.
Yeah, it's going to be. They're basically race labs. They're gonna put race labs out of business, really, because you're not going to need race labs anymore, because iRacing's going to have the option for you to have all those on your screen as an overlay. I'm excited for the prospect of them putting in, you know, career mode and stuff like that, just so then there's a bit more depth to the game outside of obviously the online racing. There's a bit more offline stuff as well, where people can just hop on and have a fun race, because the AI is getting better and better as we go on. It's not perfect, yes, but it is getting better.
No, there's definitely better sim games if you're wanting to play, I think, you know, AI type stuff.
Competizione has actually some fairly good AI. Forza still struggles with lap 1. You can pass about the whole field just because they don't want to drive fast, and then lap 2 all of a sudden they're just unbeatable. But
Automobilista 2 is pretty good when it comes to AI racing.
Yes.
But to be honest, I don't do a lot of other stuff at this point. I'm mostly iRacing. You know, to improve my racecraft takes up all of my available time between, you know, trying to race and trying to improve my racecraft. It's, you know, I spend, you know, my majority of my time here. I want to play Le Mans Ultimate a little more, because they do offer all of the haptic feedback stuff. I happen to have active pedals, so the thought of having traction control feedback and brake lockup and all of that stuff would put my pedals to better use. You know what I mean?
Well, we can see as well, Jim, this battle, just like the weather at the moment here in Australia, is really starting to heat up. It is 90 degrees at the moment, and all I've got in this room is a fan. There's no aircon or nothing, so as soon as our broadcast ends, I'm going and sitting in front of the aircon.
Oh, I was gonna say, is that like a thing where y'all don't have air conditioning in Australia? Or?
No, we do. It's just because my setup is in my bedroom, so it's and the door's closed because my father works from home. So I don't interrupt his work day. I shut the door whilst I'm working today. Actually, he might have a day off today. Actually, I can't remember now.
But yeah, I'm set up in a spare bedroom that's now basically my sim room, but it happens to be the hottest room in the house. But where I live in the United States, you couldn't survive without air conditioning down here.
Oh, you couldn't in Australia. I
know y'all get those blisteringly hot Januaries and stuff.
It's starting to get hotter and hotter in summer now as well, because we've just come out of our cold period, which is like 5 years of colder summers, and then now it's going to start to heat up over the next 5 years. So it's only going to get warmer.
Yeah, I remember. I used to play tennis, and I remember it being like 110 degrees during the Australian Open back in the day.
Yep.
And I know that was always freaked me out that y'all were having 110 degree temperatures when we were at our coldest time of the year.
Yep. So it's it's 90 degrees at the moment, 32 Celsius. So not the hottest day we've had just yet. I don't know if we'll hit 110 degrees Celsius days, which is like 45 degrees, or 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 45 degrees Celsius. But it's definitely warming up. So I'm not looking forward to tomorrow.
I'm willing to
tomorrow's
bet
going to
that
be even warmer. It's going to be 34, which is like I think 97 Fahrenheit. So that's going to be quite the test.
I'm willing to bet that Blake Reynolds is nice and cool right now because he has a 10-second lead on the field here. He has just he's just distanced himself away, and
I've had
yeah,
a
they have
message
spread out.
I've had a message from Ray Kingsbury. It says, it turns out lifting off for your teammate 3 seconds back to try and bump draft up to the leader isn't a survival strategy. So that's obviously off the back of him getting put into the wall with Roman next to him. So he was trying to get his teammate up to the back of him to try and bump draft up to Reynolds, I think. Or maybe Cosgrove was. I'm not sure, but at this stage, Blake Reynolds has just set the fast lap of the race, Jim. 3:57 dead on that last lap. In fact, I suspect it might be a 56. If we look at the breakdown, it is a 56, a 56.995. So basically a 57, but it's right there.
Yeah, it's again, he's out there comfortable and he's still pushing though, just like we talked about earlier. Oh, that looked like he got a little close there. But he's got a little gap. They're really spread out the first two. I think we're going to see some heat right here though by the end of the race. You got 4 or 5 guys here within touching distance of each other.
Yeah, I mean Fanning, Kingsbury, Ratu, and then if Ebersol can get rubber banded into the back of this battle as well, and all of a sudden we've got a 4-car battle pack. Nasir not too far up from Ratu as well, who's now dropped off the podium. But 10 minutes left to run in this race, Jim. At this stage, it is Blake Reynolds to win, and Cody Cosgrove looks to finish on the podium for a second week in a row. Justin Nasir has got quite the unachievable gap ahead of him to chase down Cosgrove. 5 seconds is the gap. He's then got a 1.5 second buffer between him and this car, Roman Ratu in P4. But Kingsbury and Fanning, they are going hot at it in the battle for P5 here, Jim. And if these two come together, well, John Ebersol will say, thank you very much. I'll come on to the top 5 and I'll claim my win for the AMs here tonight.
So I couldn't help but I look over there at the, Blake Reynolds leading, and then you got the 2 Canadians, and I couldn't help but think, what did you call them last week?
Oh,
Maple Bloods?
The maple-blooded drivers, yep.
Yeah, Maple Bloods. That's
yep.
funny. Yeah. So you got 2 Canadians running in second and third, and then you got Roman, who's of course French and at home.
Yeah, he's got a baguette injected Porsche.
He does. It's probably fueled by red wine.
Oh, definitely. It is a Sauvignon Blanc injected Porsche.
Right. It could be champagne, I guess, depending on what region of France you're from.
It could be champagne. Could be maybe caviar, or what are the little cookies called now? Can't remember now. It's gone.
French cookies?
Yeah, yeah. They're.
I
can't remember. Doesn't matter. It's irregardless.
Yeah. Don't y'all call cookies biscuits in Australia?
We do, but there is specifically a French cookie or biscuit. And now I can't remember what it's called, and I don't know why, but I know of a way to find out.
Yes.
It's called
the World Wide Web solves everything.
Exactly right.
Yeah, I'm so old, I remember when there was no internet. Yeah, petit fours. They got nice little petit fours in France too. I like I'm a Pettifor kind of guy. And you said when you called me Big Jim at the start of the broadcast, you weren't kidding. You know, I'm a big fella. I like to eat. I'm 6'8", so
That was why. That was why I mentioned it, Jim. As a big person myself, of 6'4". And,
oh yeah, that's right, huh?
Big stature.
Yeah, you can call yourself tiny. Call you tiny around me. make you feel tiny. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any gaps closing up here, anything exciting developing. Really, there's only 2 real battles on the track that are super exciting, and that's Roman and Kingsbury are doing their thing, and then back in the Jeff Johnson back in the amateurs.
I would just like to point out it was macaroons.
Oh, macaroons, yeah.
Yes, that's what I was thinking.
Well, we say macaroon in American. I don't know if that's how they pronounce it.
In France, it's macaron. Yeah. Macaroon.
Yeah,
Howard. I don't know.
That's a macaroon-powered Porsche.
Sauvignon Blanc injected.
Yeah.
The maple-blooded drivers up ahead of Nasir and Cosgrove.
Yes, maple. Right. What do they call those Canadian? What's something that's famous from Canada other than steaks? They make good steaks
currently,
in
instead of it being a double Canadian podium, it'll be a double because of Tim Hortons.
A double. Right. Well, the American looks like he's going to be standing on the top of this podium tonight.
Yeah, with 5 minutes to go.
I don't see anybody running him down, and he's still putting up fastest laps. Man, this guy is, you know.
Yep.
I love that. I love that aggressiveness in him, though. That's fantastic.
So we got 2 laps to go.
Nobody even close to him.
No, they're not. I mean, 2 laps to go for him. As run number 2 is having to come into pit lane.
Oh.
Oh, no, he hasn't. I think he's actually made a mistake, possibly. But he's had to come into pit lane. So he doesn't get an unsafe pit entry, but he might already have that on him. So I reckon he's underfilled the car.
Oh, my goodness. I wonder, man. That is a horrible thing to happen with 2 laps to go for him in his home race.
He heard us butchering French pronunciations, and he decided he has to come and teach us what they are.
He's coming in to whip us. Yeah, he's coming in to whip us.
At a protest, he's just like, no, this is not how you say
it. Well, I'm sure anything I would butcher in French, because any French that I've ever been exposed to is Cajun French from Louisiana. So we have some, that's where some French settlers from Acadiana moved down from Canada, and
from Quebec.
So we have they were shipped over from France, and then they came down from Canada, from Nova Scotia area, and so we have but it's broken French. It's a cross between.
There's French, there's Quebec French, and then there's Cajun French, which is like just wild. it's
what's funny is in America, in the Cajun section of Louisiana, they still do part of the newscast in Cajun French.
Yeah.
That's which is you wouldn't expect that, but they still do. It's pretty funny.
I've just seen as well.
We got
Blake,
an off track.
It was Joshua Souksy. I've also noticed as well Blake Reynolds has set another fast lap of the race, a 56.25. He's gone faster than his qualifying lap in the race, Jim.
Yes, and last. Oh.
Yes, that was Souksy.
That just spun?
That was Souksy's spin from before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You were talking about Blake, and then I saw the spin. I was like, oh my gosh. Of course, he's got a big enough gap to recover from it.
Yeah, he would.
It's like when he,
it's just
when
like
he spun
Road America.
Yeah, when he spun Gonzalez out, and then they both had time to get back under and still hold their leads.
So Cody Cosgrove, the Austin
Well,
Matthews of Solpec Precision Racing, is still in P2. Nasir, his fellow countryman, has started to chase him down here, Jim. It's actually down from 5 seconds to 2.7, but with only 1 lap to go, I cannot see a world in which Nasir actually catches and overtakes Cody Cosgrove before the finish line, as Reynolds is just coming up towards the Porsche curve, so he does not have long to go before he cops the white flag. And he has 1 more lap of this beautiful Le Mans circuit to run here tonight.
Yeah, he's just putting on a clinic tonight. That's I do feel like it would have been different had something not happened to Gonzalez, of course. But yeah, I mean, he put on a driving clinic tonight. I mean, when you're putting up fastest laps at the last 2 or 3 laps of the race, worn out tires, of course the car's low on fuel, which helps. But yeah, he's just a clinic. This guy is well, he's not the previous champion for no reason.
Well, he has started the
And he's
final lap. So he's
fixing to have a pretty nice points lead.
Yep. And it's going to be pretty insurmountable for Gonzalez to get past Reynolds based on how close they've been all season and the fact there's only 2 rounds to go with 4 races left in this series. For Gonzalez to now win the title, he would need Reynolds to have a round just like Gonzalez has had here tonight to equal them out. And that is looking pretty unlikely at this stage, Jim, knowing it how consistent and dominant Reynolds has been. But the one case I will make for it is Sandown can actually offer up quite a bit of chaos. And if Reynolds does not gel with that Sandown circuit, he could very well have a very poor round and cost himself the championship at the next circuit on December 5th.
Right, and then following that's Road Atlanta, which anything can happen at Road Atlanta as well. Again, not another super long course. They're going to be going through traffic probably. I'm interested to see Sandown on the 5th of December, though. That's going to be. I'm not very familiar with that circuit. I actually hope I get to call that race as well. I would love to do that one with you in your home country. That would be fun.
I'll just put a message out to James and be like, would you mind if I do it with Hamish again for Sandown?
Right. Yeah. I mean, at this point, I pretty much will have done that last half of the season,
Yeah.
which I'm thrilled to, because this points battle has been incredible so far. The racing has been phenomenal. I just, like I said, I hate for whatever happened to Michael Gonzalez tonight, because this was going to be one of the most epic point battles ever.
It was. And again, hopefully it just means that Michael can try and claw something back out of this title race. As you mentioned, anything can happen in the final 2 rounds across the final 4 races.
Sure.
Reynolds could have an absolute horrible race in 2 weeks' time. Sandown can always throw up, but I'll give you a bit of insight on Sandown. For a series that I call V8 Veterans, Jim, we came into the final round of the season where the leader just had to beat his championship contender, and the contender had to beat the leader of the championship by about 15 positions or so. The championship leader coming into the final round had the worst round he had all season, finished near plumb last, and the winner of the championship finished inside the top 5 to win the title. So anything can happen at Sandown. Anything can happen. It's a short,
here's
sharp
a funny
circuit.
thing about Blake. Just put up the previous lap when he crossed for the white flag lap, was again the fastest lap of the race. He now just turned a 3:55.8, a half a second faster than his qualifying lap.
Does this guy do anything other than just sweat? Because that's what it looks like he's doing right now.
Man. He is so fast.
He is. That's ridiculous. A 55.8 on low fuel, old tires, clear air,
Yeah.
17
To put that
second
into
gap.
perspective, the next closest lap to him anywhere in the race is 2 seconds. He's
ridiculous.
2 seconds faster than anyone else in this field.
Well,
tonight.
he's proven why he is the defending champion and
What a
why
run.
he now leads the title race. He's crossed the line, P1 once again for Blake Reynolds here tonight at Le Mans. Cody Cosgrove, his Solpec Precision Racing teammate. The Austin Matthews of Solpec Precision Racing. He comes across the line, P2. Justin Nasir of Penguin RC will make it a double Canadian podium, and he'll come home P3. Matt Kingsbury, P4 on the road. Kevin Fanning in P5. John Ebersola, Panda Spec Motorsport, will come across the line as the winner for the AMS this evening. A double win for the Corvette at Le Mans. Nate Stewart on debut. He will come home in P7, as he has Jeff Johnson, Roman Ratu, and Jason Lynn in behind him, making up the AM podium and the top 10 here this evening as Stewart comes across the line. That's a good run from him here tonight. Johnson, he won the AMs last week, finishes P2 here tonight for them. Ratu, P7 for his class, P9 on the road. And Jason Lynn is just coming up and around the Porsche curves now to come home P10 on the road, although he is blinking in that Merc. But he will come home P3 for his class. Marwan Mofta, though, is chasing him down as best he can through the Ford curves now. He'll come home P4. Quint, the Porsche curves. Joshua Suxi is a long way back on the Mulsanne straight. And Dylan Hunt is about to finish off his race in the Mustang.
Well, you know, Hunter and Jason Lynn were involved in that crash earlier towards the beginning of this race, and so they've obviously got their cars fixed and been able to get back out there. I hate what happened to Roman Ratu. I don't know what did him in there, but you know, he was running up there for a podium type finish, and then he ends up finishing 9th in his home country race. I hate that. He was having such a nice run.
He was indeed. So we're just awaiting our provisional race results to come in to give you guys all of the information on where everyone's finished in this race and where they've ended up. But one thing we do know is Blake Reynolds will now lead the championship fight going into Sandown in 2 weeks' time for the final 2 rounds of the season. Will he lead the title race into Road Atlanta? He would have to have a horrible round in 2 weeks' time out at Sandown for that to happen. And Michael Gonzalez would need to have an absolute barn burner in that case as well. All the trees getting lit up for us here. We'll quickly get some beautiful and wonderful images of this race as it happened all throughout. We have Blake Reynolds in the interview waiting room. We'll have a quick chat to him. Mr. Reynolds, another dominant performance for you tonight, good sir. Another win under your belt as well. Just before we get into the meat and potatoes of your race, have you got any information on what happened with Michael Gonzalez up at the Porsche curves?
I think he had a game issue and maybe one of his screens unplugged or something, and then once that happens, you just gotta, I don't know.
Oh, fair enough.
That's all I heard.
Yeah.
But yeah, fun race for me. Who knew a little bit of downforce at Le Mans could make pace?
Well, who knew that you could get a 355 after doing 11 laps around Le Mans with old tires and light fuel?
I mean, I attribute the downforce really. The tires feel fantastic even after my burnouts here. I feel like I feel like I could go further. Yeah, the temps just kept in check. I didn't really overheat the left front or left rear. Porsche curves were a little sketchy. Really, that's it. All the slow corners had great grip. Good braking. Corvettes got great brakes. Not sure on the fuel usage. I have 8 liters extra even after all the burnouts. So I had about a lap and a half extra of gas. We just left it full. So full tank and still ripping like that. I'll have to save this set for later. Thanks to Kevin Fanning for that. He's been helping me out since I'm the only Corvette on the Solpec team.
Well, it also looks like as well, I think probably one thing that attributes to that is you didn't really have to battle too much in this race. It was pretty much once Gonzo was out of the race, you just ran away. But you weren't setting slow laps, you were setting fast laps, so you were actually pushing the car all throughout your stint. Sandown next week, a very, very tough circuit. Obviously very close to my heart as it's my local track. Are you feeling confident for that track? Because I know it can be quite difficult to get into a rhythm there for someone who may not be as familiar with that circuit as others around the world.
I'll be honest, I'm not too familiar. I've raced there actually once only in stock cars in the ARCA car. A league race I did a long time ago. I think when it first came out.
That's a very interesting track choice for the ARCA car, I will say.
It was fun. It was fun. I run stick shift also, so it kind of felt like a classic V8 supercar race maybe. But yeah, I look forward to it. Corvette is a little short, a little close to the ground, so I know that first sector's got some fat curbs.
Yeah, I would avoid those curbs as best you can in the Corvette, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I would bet the Porsches are going to be quite good over those curbs.
They probably will, but they will likely struggle down Dandenong Road for the downhill section at the back end of the track.
Yeah. This car, I will say, elevation change is not its friend. So I know that track's... I think I don't know the names of the straightaways. You're probably more versed in it.
The straights do not have names on the straights. It's mainly just the corners that have got names.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think once you get up that first sector and there's that straightaway that's kind of at the top of the hill.
Yep.
It's kind of bendy and curvy, and if I remember, bumpy. This car might not be too friendly if I try to brake or change direction in any way.
If someone who is quick in this series races a front-engine car at Sandown, they will likely do quite well. It likes front-engine cars. I don't know why it doesn't like rear-engine. Depending on what rear-engine car it is, of course. The Ferrari will actually probably be quite good around there because it is the most well-rounded car since Class D drivers have to drive it. But I don't know. I haven't driven the Corvette at Sandown, so I don't know how it's actually going to perform. As I said, the Porsche struggles down the hill. I don't know about the McLaren because it's brand new, but it's going to be a test for everyone, I think, because that track, maybe would have been a better choice choosing Bathurst, since more people would have actually driven it, but I don't mind going to Sandown. That's going to be a hell of a showcase and a real tough challenge for the majority US-based drivers who would have not driven there very often.
Yeah, we actually raced Bathurst last season. That's the reason we chose this track.
Might I recommend Phillip Island next season then if you're going to choose an Australian track?
I agree, but I don't pick the tracks.
Oh, well, whoever does, I would like to recommend Phillip Island next season.
That would be Ray Kingsbury or Brandon Lambert or Kevin Bogart.
Okay. Well, Ray, if you're listening, he did send me a message before after he had a crash at Porsche Curves. Ray, if you're listening, put Phillip Island on the calendar next season. It's out of the Australian tracks you haven't run out of Sandown and Bathurst. You don't particularly want to go to Winton because you'll never get overtakes done. It's horrible for GT racing. I love Winton, but it's horrible for GT racing. Oran Park's the same issue. Your best option left is Phillip Island. So go to Phillip Island next season. It'll be a good test. And it's fun in the GT cars as well. But Blake, you will now control this championship pretty comprehensively into the next 2 rounds, with Michael having a horrible round here tonight. I skimmed through the rules. I don't believe you guys have drop rounds, do you?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I'll be honest, I don't really know.
Okay, well, I'm
I
glad
just
I'm
wanted to
glad you
race
don't,
the best I can.
that makes me feel better that I don't know if you don't know. So that's fine. Well, if so that means that you pretty much just have to have good races in the next 2 weeks and you'll win this championship for the second time in a row. For Gonzalez to win, you'll need to have a horrible round, and if it's going to happen, it's probably going to happen next week at a track you don't know very well. So get some practice in and try and risk limit that, I would say. Let us know helps get you and Solpec Precision Racing out on track. Anyone else you wish to give a shout out to as well, Blake? For myself, Jim, and the rest of JP Broadcasting, congratulations on another win here tonight in the Penguin RC Simcar Grand Am GT3 series.
Yeah, thank you guys. I think Kevin. I think my sponsors, Solpec, Abruzzi Apparel, Simcar, of course, Channel 199, new logo on the car. You guys are broadcasting Simcar, Too Fast, Penguin RC, yada yada everybody.
Very good. And we didn't get a chance to chat last week, but great job in the race for mental health as well. You guys did really well. And I did love the fact that RC gave Paul a penalty for having a Polish name but not being able to speak Polish. So that was very good.
Yes, of course.
Yep,
Yes.
it was phenomenal. Oh, Blake,
Yeah, that was funny.
best of luck at Sandown in 2 weeks' time. Have a good and happy Thanksgiving, and we look forward to seeing how you guys go when you come back.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Well, Jim, another race. Le Mans offered up some controversy, a shake-up for the championship, and now the drivers get a week off before we come back for Sandown in 2 weeks' time, which is going to be a mega test for them in this championship race. It was great to have you along once again, and I'm excited for these final 2 rounds in 2 weeks' time and 3 weeks' time.
I can't lie. You've got me pumped up for Sandown.
Oh,
the way you talked about it all night long, you've got me excited for that race just to see what's going to happen.
I will. You know what, Jim? Once we get off the air, I'll quickly find a Sandown broadcast I've done, and I'll show you what it can throw up for us next week. But, ladies and gentlemen, we so appreciate your time being here with us. Oh, what were you going to say, Jim? Just quickly before we sign off.
No. I'm going to go put my McLaren around there and put some laps in just to feel it out. I'm excited.
Oh, very good. I'm so glad. But thank you all so much for joining us once again here for the Penguin RC Simcar Grand Am GT3 series. I actually misspelled Penguin when I wrote it earlier, so let me fix that. If you guys are new here to JP Broadcasting, we so appreciate you being here. Make sure to hit the like button, the subscribe, and the bell icon as well, so you're notified whenever we have racing action coming your way here on JP Broadcasting. It's been such a pleasure to call this series thus far. We'll be back in 2 weeks' time for Sandown for round 7 of the series. Oh, actually, no, I've done it wrong, I think. No, it is round 7 next week. My brain's just going, but thank you so much for being here with us, ladies and gentlemen, for Circuit de 24 Hours du Mans for round 6 of this season of the Penguin RC Simcar Grand Am GT3 series. I've been Hamish with Jim Cunningham once again. We hope you stay safe, drive hard, and until next time, enjoy and happy Thanksgiving for next week. But until then, stay safe, drive hard, and bye for now.